After Daniel, the silence wasn't just an absence of sound, it was a presence. It filled every space in my life with an almost cruel insistence. I returned to my apartment like someone returning to a place they no longer recognize. The sofa was in the same spot. The plants still needed water. The kitchen clock was still 5 minutes slow. Everything the same, and yet absolutely different. I felt like someone who had peeked into another world through a crack hand now was forced to pretend it had never happened. The following days were automatic. Work, traffic, short replies, polite smiles. At night, I would lie in bed and stare at the ceiling, reliving details that didn't ask for permission to return. The way he looked at me before he touched me. The calmness in his voice. The weight of the truth when he said who he was. A billionaire owner of Italian wineries. A man used to controlling land, harvests, people land. Yet he had chosen to lie just to be with me. That's what confused me the most. It wasn't the money. It never was. It was the choice. On the third day, my name started circulating where it shouldn't. A photo of me leaving the hotel, blurry, taken from a distance, accompanied by a caption that seemed too harmless for the damage it caused. Italian billionaire's new companion draws attention. My stomach turned. It didn't take long for messages to appear. Some curious, others invasive. People who never cared about me now wanted to know who I was, where I came from, what I did. As if my existence had only gained value the moment I was associated with him. That's when the fear set in. Fear of being swallowed. Fear of disappearing inside the life of someone too big. Fear of liking it. Daniel's message came that night, short and direct, as he always was when he wasn't hiding. I never wanted this for you. If you prefer, I'll step away. I read that sentence dozens of times. He was giving me an out, an open door. A chance to pretend it had all been just a well-dressed mistake. But I knew it wasn't. 2 days later, the invitation arrived. A simple envelope, no luxury, no frills. My name handwritten, recognizable, intimate. Inside, just a card and a plane ticket. I don't owe you explanations or promises. But if you want to know me away from the noise, come. Tuscany. 1 week there was no pressure. No explicit seduction, just space. I spent the whole night sitting on the living room floor, a glass of cheap wine in my hands. I thought about my ex-fiance, how much I had tried to fit into a future that didn't want me whole. I thought about the woman who hired a gigolo so she wouldn't look lonely. I thought about who I had been in that sweet, vulnerable, desired, real. And for the first time, I asked myself the right question. If I don't go, am I protecting myself or hiding? The answer hurt. 2 days later, I was on a plane crossing the ocean, my heart racing and no guarantees in my pocket. Tuscany welcomed me with silence and color. Gentle hills, endless vineyards, the smell of earth and sun. There was no rush there. Things grew in their own time, more they didn't. Daniel was waiting for me near the main house of the winery. He wasn't wearing a suit. No driver, no photographers. Just him in a light shirt, sleeves rolled up, his face exposed to the wind. When our eyes met, something inside me settled. "You came," he said, as if he hadn't been sure until that very second. "I came for me," I replied. "Not for you." He smiled. A genuine smile, relieved. We walked among the vines as he talked about the land. I listened in silence, noticing how his voice changed when he spoke of the land. There was no showing off, no empty pride. There was responsibility, care, a kind of silent love that doesn't impose itself, but simply remains. All of this survives because someone one day decided to stay, he said, stopping between the rows of grapes, even when it would have been easier to leave. I looked around, the gentle wind, the open sky, the strange feeling of belonging in a place I had never seen before. "And you?" I asked. "Why did you stay?" He took a moment to answer. "Because someone has to choose to continue," he finally said. "And because running away has never brought me anything worthwhile." That sentence wasn't just about wineries, it was about us. At night, we sat outside the house, a bottle of wine open between us. There was no rush, no promises, just conversation. He told me about the loneliness disguised as luxury, about relationships based on convenience, about how people were drawn more to the last name than to the man. "With you, I didn't have to be any of that," he said. "Not the heir, not the billionaire, not the public image. And I didn't have to pretend I was okay," I replied. For the first time in a long time, he didn't try to kiss me. He didn't make a move. He just held my hand, as if that gesture was more intimate than anything else we had ever done. That's when I understood this wasn't about intensity. It was about truth. The following days passed slowly. Walks through vineyards, simple lunches, unexpected laughter. Sometimes silence, sometimes desire, but always choice. Nothing was forced. Everything was invited. On the last night, we returned to the same spot where we sat on the first day. The wine was different, more full-bodied, more mature. "You're leaving tomorrow," he said. "I am," I confirmed. And then, I took a deep breath. Then, I go back to my life, but not to the same version of it. He nodded, as if that answer was enough. "I can't promise you ease," he said. "My world is noisy, exposed, sometimes cruel." "I don't want ease," I answered. "I want truth, even when it demands more courage." He moved closer then, slowly, as if asking without words. When he kissed me, there was no urgency. It was a kiss of choice, not of escape, of presence. The next morning, he walked me to the car. No dramatic farewell, no forever thrown to the wind. This isn't an ending, he said. I know, I replied. It's a conscious beginning. As the car pulled away, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not because everything was solved, but because, for the first time, I wasn't hiding. I didn't know if I would end up with him. I didn't know if our worlds could truly fit together. But I knew I would never again accept less than being seen, chosen, and true. I thought I had hired a gigolo to feign strength, but I found a man who taught me to choose to live. And that is something no one can buy. I came back 6 months later. There was no announcement, no photos, no headlines, just me, a small suitcase, and the feeling that this place already knew me. Tuscany was different, or maybe I was. The late afternoon light tinged the vineyards with gold when I saw him. Daniel was among the vines, sleeves rolled up, focused on something that required no words. When he looked up and found me, he didn't smile right away. His eyes did it first. I thought you wouldn't come, he said as I got closer. Me neither, I replied. The silence between us was dense, not uncomfortable, charged, as if all the time apart had just been a pause before something inevitable. We walked to the house without touching. Every step felt like a provocation. Every glance an unspoken invitation. It was only when the door closed that he broke the distance. It wasn't a rushed kiss. It was slow, deep, too familiar for two people who had spent months apart. His hands held my face with a restrained firmness, as if he had been controlling himself since the first second he saw me. You stayed, he murmured against my lips. I came back. I corrected. He smiled, a dangerous smile. The house was silent, but the air wasn't. The wine was forgotten on the table. The world outside ceased to exist. Every touch was a question, every answer a shiver. He pressed me against the wall, his forehead resting on mine, his breath too hot to be casual. Tell me this isn't just you missing me, he asked. It never was, I replied, feeling my body betray any attempt at control. His hands moved down slowly, like someone who knows the right timing for things. There was no rush, no pressure, just the certainty that this desire wasn't new and had only matured. When he led me to the room, he did it as if he were guiding something precious. There was no urgency. There was intention. Afterward, lying next to him, I felt the good weight of his body close to mine, the warmth, the presence. He traced lazy patterns on my skin as if memorizing me all over again. Stay, he said, softly. Not for me. For you. I smiled in the dark. I already have, I replied. Outside, the vineyard slept peacefully. And for the first time, so did I. The right wine doesn't intoxicate, it remains.